Well, what's in your packets as far as the certified survey maps?
Those are the ones that have been signed, approved, and recorded. So that's the update for the month of December. Since the last time we met.
Just need a motion to approve.
No need.
Nothing?
I know it's not as glamorous as the next presentation.
Okay, so no comments, questions, concerns?
Thanks for the report, Dan.
Okay, and now we have a progress report on CUP 2334 from Pain Dolan Mineral Extraction Site. Get some feedback on our action.
We'll keep this brief for you guys, and if you have
6
questions, just feel free. I'm going to hand out a little, some updates and highlights of how we've been going. This was a permit that was approved back in March, I think, of this year. And so we spent,
That's the little
since about May, opening things up, building a berm all the way around the property, some interior berms, fence, landscaping, and this is a video of what's been taking place out there now since about the end of October. And this is Ethan Corder, and I'll have Ethan kind of explain what you're looking at on the video.
Okay, so basically we're going through our crushing operations at the site. Like Bill said, it started in the end of October. And kind of the plan right now, you see them zooming into where they're extracting from, is to take gravel out of the bank to a lowered operations area. And where that loader is right now is where that operations area will be across the whole site eventually. So basically he's taking gravel out of the bank, loading it into the crusher. Kind of future plans from here would be to mine within the water table to get to processed water. So eventually there'll be a pond along the west side, which is of the property, and that's where we're going to start our processed water. So kind of to start the crushing process, that loader is feeding into the jaw crusher, which crushes the rock and cobble to a 5-inch minus. So anything over 5 inches gets crushed down to that 5 inches, and it goes on through. After it goes on through, it goes into a surge hopper. So you can see that material feeding through the jaw.
Yeah, if you didn't have a drone to be able to do this, you'd never realize how that material is getting fed through.
Moves a little slow. So if you have questions, just shout them out as they go through.
Who's flying the drone?
Who's what?
Who's flying the drone?
Not me.
They have like services? I'm sorry.
Yeah, they do.
Oh,
Go ahead.
They have service where you can say, hey, I need someone out here to take video of our operation. And that's a great business plan. I'd love to-
We do a lot of surveying with drone, but so this is further along in our process of. So the first step that we kind of drove by there is we screen the natural sand out, and after we screen the natural sand, what's left is the cobble and the stone that will get crushed down to size into different products. At this time, we're making a single aggregate, it's called. So that's all our products from our 7/8 chip all the way through our manufactured sand. So as you can kind of tell on the top of those screens, the screen at the top of the screen has the larger stones, and those conveyors kind of make a round robin of material, and they're constantly getting crushed or screened into a size that we want. And then once we get it to a size, that product gets loaded out into the pile. So there's one of the crushers there.
There are different types of crushers depending on what specific shape and size of material of chip or aggregate that you want.
How large was that bucket on the end loader?
That's big.
How many
That's a 988. They call it a 988 Caterpillar. And would that be a 6-yard bucket?
It's bigger than that.
Is it bigger than that?
Yep.
Maybe it's 7 or 8.
Yep.
And this conveyor, this is kind of interesting. See how it's moving from side to side? it moves very slowly. It's going to the left now.
So that it doesn't.
You program that thing, and it goes back and forth, and telescopes out and back, and goes up and down, and it's all automatic.
And you can see the effect because you have these uniform ridges.
Right.
And that allows us to fit more material in a smaller space, and it controls space.
Now you're looking west now. Those are, that's the Wisconsin Southern Rail Line, and they had, I don't know how many, hundreds and hundreds of, I think they're frac cars that weren't being used that were just stored on the rail line. Hopefully one day we'll get to use that rail line.
Is any of the material being trucked out now?
We had about 6,000 ton trucked out just to get that material to one of our asphalt plants to get in a mixed design. So once we have that mixed design, asphalt mixed design with the tested material, then we can start using that. So it was just kind of just to get them enough material to get those mixed designs for next year.
So is
Yeah, it's gotten so that, do you have a question?
Oh yeah, when was this video made?
This was, no, it was November 11th. Would have been,
Just before snow.
yeah.
And how does that affect just how it is outside? How does the weather affect
That's a good question. We actually shut down crushing for the year yesterday. Just because it got so cold, it got so hard on the machines.
Are you producing several different kinds of aggregate at that same, so that crushing operation where you have that round robin thing, you've got different grades of material all going at once?
Yeah, so like I said, this is a single egg, and the last pile that you saw was all our products in one. And we can screen out different products at certain times, but at this time we're doing the single egg, and we'll come back in the spring and we'll wash that pile. So we'll wash it out, and at the same time as we're washing, we're also screening. So then we'll separate our products from that single pile.
Okay, so you're producing one thing that's going to have every. Do you
Lot
do
of
like
things
even
in
down to like the screenings and stuff that I use for my patio?
Yep,
Whatever.
yep.
Okay.
Actually, that pile right there is a screenings pile, because we were doing some of that split aggregates before, what we called it.
Okay.
And if you look, you see where the material's been taken out of, where the loader was sitting, the lower area. And that's, now you're looking south towards the village of Brooklyn. But that area is all going to get down, be taken down about 15 feet. And then we'll actually go down another 35 to 40 feet into the water. And eventually that will take place all over the site. And some of those areas will be filled back in with clay or silt or whatever and be farmland. And there will be about a half of the property that will wind up a lake, a third or a half that will wind up as a lake. And by the way, this when I started, you would have about less than a fourth of the equipment and conveyors that you have to have nowadays. And things have to be so precise that it's all in an effort to make asphalt pavements and concrete pavements last longer and longer, because as you know, we're spending less and less on infrastructure, so everybody's doing their part to try and get to that point.
Is the clown site done?
Excavating, yes. We have maybe a couple of weeks of hauling out to do next year in the spring, and then we'll finish our reclamation.
Is this lake going to join that lake?
Well, not at this time, because we asked the claims who were the previous site to the south, what they wanted, and they thought for now they would keep their property to not connect it. But at some point in time, they've got 20 or 25 years to make that decision.
Yeah.
Now, something I'd like to bring up is we did have one person who called the township last week, Monday. Yeah, last week, Monday. She lives about a half a mile to the north. And this is after we've been crushing there for 6 weeks. Well, I can hear the beepers. And, what will you...
Well, that was the last town meeting.
Yeah.
That was,
Yeah.
that was.
So we called her, the town chairman called me, we called her the same day.
Mhm.
went out and saw her the next day, and and went to her house and told her all that. And come to find out, she put her house up for sale and has an offer on it, so that's why she was concerned. But we did have beepers on our loaders and some of our other vehicles, so we've switched all of those from a beeper to a squawker, which doesn't carry. It kind of sounds like a duck quacking. It's kind of what it sounds like. And then they asked if we would plant a few more trees along the berm on the north side, and we said, we'll come back here next spring, and you can tell us where you want us to put them, and life's good again.
Yeah, they got real quiet after you were like, okay.
How many acres do you got open up here?
It's about 35 acres right now. And the reason for that was, well, I'll be sending you the NR135 stuff soon, but the reason for that was to get enough material to make the perimeter berms, screening berms on that.
Yeah.
So that was, getting that much open.
I was out on site a couple of weeks ago, just for maybe 10 minutes. Things look great.
Yeah.
Everything was stabilized. Berms look good.
Grass is growing.
Wish my grass in my backyard looked that good.
One of our neighbors must be baiting coyotes or something, because he must have taken some shots at him, because the fence has got holes in it, full of holes.
Nice.
Nice.
And one of the other items, that there is another commercial site closer to the north, and that is Messner's landscaping and snow plowing business. So that might be a cause of beeping late at night and early in the morning.
Come to think of it,
So that's
somebody
the
was complaining about the
the
beeping
square.
early in the
There's
morning.
a square
I wonder if that
just
was coming
north
from
of the
Messner's.
CUP boundaries. The C2 commercial property is landscaping and snow plowing facility. So that might be attributing to some of the truck noises in the wee hours of the morning.
Did you have any questions back
Yeah.
there? You've been hanging out. Okay, just want to make sure.
I have a question. So, like, what happens to land like this after it's outlived its like usefulness in getting the material for the aggregate?
When the site is completed, when we've covered all of the resource, about 2/3 of it will be returned to farmland, because we've saved all of the topsoil and we've saved all of the clay materials. So some of it will be filled back in, about 2/3 of it, and it'll become farmland, and about 1/3 of it will be about 35 foot deep lake.
Is stocking with fish?
So, yes, this will be the final outcome. Right now, it's a giant flat farmland. You can see the elevations as they're coming down. There'll be a 1% slope to the water, and then there'll be a giant pond. So that's the reclamation plan for this site after all of the sand is taken from it.
Yep, they'll be growing agricultural products on the dry land, and probably farming fish out of the pond or something.
Yeah.
And just to provide a real brief background on the whole reclamation program, the last 2 weeks I've been working on preparing the annual reports that get sent out to these guys and the landowners. And so there's basically 2 questions on the report. All the reports were sent yesterday electronically as much as possible. They're responsible for showing how many acres have been opened up and then how many acres have been reclaimed. In this case, there's probably no acres that have been reclaimed. And you said 35 have been opened up. And then there's a fee that's associated with that report. Those are due at the end of January every year. So that kind of keeps a running total, so to speak, of what's been going on for the past year with the site. So
And we thank you for allowing us to come and let you know what we do, and we appreciate your confidence and giving us the opportunity to do this stuff.
Thanks for the feedback.
Okay. Thank you.
Were you going to show that drone video to the town board?
We did.
You did?
Yeah.
Did I take off before you?
Probably.
Okay, Supervisor Miles will be introducing a resolution on Thursday night for our ordinance amendment on appeals. And so I would anticipate that that will be on our January agenda. Supervisor Matano, will you have a chance to have our rewrite of our rules?
I didn't. What? Obviously, it would not be appropriate to discuss the
Right.
substance of it, but I'll just tell you what I did. To avoid writer's block, I wrote an insert to the ordinance. I didn't even follow the official format of the ordinance. I just did like 1A, 1B, 1C. And what I was just trying to do was add a segment that would allow, like for some of our long drawn out proceedings, like Crazy Acres Quarry or the Anchorage Pipeline, for opposition forces should have a way to supplement the record along the way without us just getting pummeled by emails.
Nice.
So having said that, I will give you these pieces of paper which we will not discuss.
Right, but we'll put it on the agenda for
And I'll send this to David
January.
Galt. I will send
okay,
this
Galt.
to Attorney Galt and
Wonderful.
see if he has a thought as to how to
Say
incorporate.
Okay, good. All right, good. So
Nice
again,
meeting you,
anticipate those on our agenda in January. No other business? Could I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved. Seconded.
And all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And we are adjourned.